but I'll speak broader, not just Dalit. Kerala.
You speak about Kerala society.
See, Kerala was seen as a development model before Modi's Gujarat was seen as a development model. Long back, right from 60s onwards, both the left and the World Bank projected it as a development model. There are a few reasons that Kerala society was educated. They were at one stage they became 100% literate. Women were literate, and women were employed. They were also on the mortality rate. Kerala was better. Some of these factors have been the reasons for taking Kerala as a development model. More politically conscious than other states. All these were the characteristics, actually. And also negotiation space for the workers. They get better wages compared to other states. This is a development model, actually. Now, when we made the film called Ilayum Mullum, and it was also argued that women are more liberated in Kerala because there was a matrilineal system in Kerala where women had more voice compared to the patriarchal system. And they also said that Dalits were better off because you don't have mass massacre of Dalits like other states, like burning of Dalit villages. There are no cases of like in Delhi, something like 900 to 1,000 women were burned in those days for dowry deaths in dowry, and in Bangalore at that time it was something like 700 women were burned for dowry. So those cases were not there, But at the same time, if you look at Kerala, I'm talking about the 80s and 90s, No, thank you. You find that when we made this film called Ilayum Mullum on the social and psychological violence on women, we demolished that myth. We presented the film, it was a feature film on social and psychological violence on women, with Pallavi Joshi acting and several Malayalam actors like Tilakan, Nadabudi Venu and others acting in it. We demolished the myth when we presented it, said Kerala is not a development model because in the same state you have the highest alcoholism rate in Kerala, highest mental disorders, highest reported violence on women, highest in many grounds, So it is not and then the great achievement which was spoken about was land reforms. To its tragedy, the whole land reform achievement by the left, which is propagated, is a myth, because Dalits did not get the land. In the rentier system, those who rented out the land got the land. Dalit landless laborers never got the land. That Changara struggle brought out in a major way. That myth was broken, But nationally or internationally, in the academic circle, that myth is not broken yet. They still speak of land reforms of Kerala or the first communist ministry as a major success. It is not a major success. That's why Changara struggle took place. And that's why Muttanya struggle of the Adivasis took place. Who got the land is something which is to be really researched upon, which academic community has to really look into. Academic community has not done the exercise at all on the question of Dalits and Adivasis in Kerala. It is true that there is no blatant violence on the way it took place outside Kerala in the north, in the cow belt. I would call it cow belt. Delhi, Haryana, Punjab and western UP and that's central India, where the Aryans invaded first when there was no India at that time. So in that civilization, from that time onwards, there was an arrogance of the rest of the communities, So now in Kerala, there was not that kind of arrogance, but it is done in much more subtle ways. Exploitation of Dalits, women and Adivasis and Muslims were done in much more subtler ways. And these subtler ways are more difficult to handle, you know. And I would say, if you explore the Dalits and Adivasis and Muslims, Islamophobia in Kerala or anti-Dalit feeling in Kerala, subtler ways, you know, color difference, all this. If you look at the color between black and white and medium people, you know, it's much more than the Tamil Nadu counterparts. If you look at the women's issues, I would say it's much worse than Tamil Nadu in Kerala. If you look at the Muslims also, situation in the Muslims is much worse. But it's because it's much more subtler, you cannot handle it. You don't kill. You know, on the sexuality minorities issue, why is it that transgenders or gays and lesbians in Kerala are leaving Kerala and coming to Tamil Nadu and Bangalore? And this is the only question that I would like to ask. No? If this is an educated crowd of civil society in Kerala, but gays and lesbians are committing suicide in Kerala, transgenders cannot survive. You don't find a hijra in Kerala, but there are hijras, but they cannot openly say that you're a hijra. To a certain extent, you can say you're a Muslim, as far as identity is concerned. To a certain extent, you can say you're a Dalit, but you cannot say you are a hijra in Kerala. You'll get problems from, if you present yourself as a hijra, as a transgender, then you'll get problems. You cannot walk around the street, you know, not just by the police, but by all political missionaries, all progressive missionaries, all radical missionaries in Kerala. So this is the kind of tolerance which has happened. Now Kerala society is very different from the rest of the society, because that's the place where all colonialism came. You know, 1498 Vasco da Gama landed up. You know, the first communal attacks came from the Portuguese. For the Portuguese, the main enemy was the Muslims. Muslims at that time in Malappuram theologians, you know, they reacted against the Portuguese. Portuguese had a notion of trade. They came for trade and exploration. It's called Vasco da Gama discovered India, you know. But Vasco da Gama never discovered India. When Vasco da Gama landed, there were Arabs, Portuguese, Arabs, Turks, Turkish people, Persians, Chinese, all traders were there. It was like a cosmopolitan city in Calicut, where he landed up, Kapad Beach, you know. And Zamarin at that time believed in communal harmony. He had Muslims as second in command at that time. And Muslims were the business people. They controlled the business of spices and all that, you know. Portuguese had two problems with the Muslims. One, they had severe Islamophobia. Second, they were controlled. They could not execute the trade. The whole invasion of first colonial invasion in Kerala. At that time, there was no Kerala. It was Malabar by Portuguese, controlled by Zamarin. The whole invasion was actually on the Muslim community, and Muslims reacted. We had people like Kunjali Marakar who fought. There are several people who fought against the colonial invasion. This doesn't become the history. Nobody reads the history in the history textbooks, because the academic crowd have been controlled by the British first and then by the upper caste. And both were similar. Historians of the Britishers, the same tradition was continued by the upper caste historians. You know, we don't read the invasion and who were killed, who were attacked, We talk about Babri Masjid today. Ponnani, the Muslim mosques which have been destroyed by the Portuguese. We don't speak about it in history. Muslims reacted first, then the Adivasis reacted. Upper caste came much later in freedom struggle. First freedom struggle was by the Muslims, second by the Adivasis, then upper castes come up. This is the order. Dalits came in between. That is the historical order of this. Dalits were also used by the Malabar Zamarin in the army in that sense. In that sense, they were fighting also. But the spiritual leadership at that time was by the Muslims. So in that sense, I would say there was a kind of unification of Muslims and Dalits right from the beginning against the fight against and Adivasis against colonial invasion. So all the colonial invasion started from Kerala. That's because Kapat beach was the open space. So you find that there's a mixture of cultures compared to Tamil Nadu, Andhra, or Karnataka in South India. Traditionally, it should be a Dravidian society. Kerala should be a Dravidian society and Dravidian culture, because Dravidian culture went from north when the Aryan invasion came. They came to Kerala through Tamil Nadu. Traditionally, that should have been the case. But with this external invasion, there was a lot of mixture of cultures, and Keralites forgot that they were Dravidians. And that's why when in Sri Lanka, 2 lakh people were killed, Tamils were killed, nobody in Kerala responded, because they forgot that they were Dravidians. They would like to believe that they are Aryans, or they would like to believe that they are colonial people. That education has done so much of damage on the 100% literacy in the academic world has done on their mindset. But they learnt a lot in terms of how to utilize Dalits in a very effective manner. Do it in subtle ways. Do your exploitation in different subtle ways. That's why you look at temple entry program. It is a temple entry program in Kerala. Hinduism as a religion comes up. Hinduism as a religion doesn't have any history. If you talk about Hindu tradition, it doesn't have a history. India as a country doesn't have a history. There's nothing called ancient Indian tradition. There's nothing called ancient Hindu tradition. I'm saying my father belonged to the Malabar country, controlled by Zamarin. That was his roots. And my mother belonged to Cochin country, controlled by the Cochin king. That was her roots. I'm not talking about major historical past. I'm talking about very recent past. These things get transformed in last 150 years from 1850s onwards. There is nothing called Indian tradition. In JNU, when I was studying, Romla Thapar was teaching in the Department of Ancient Indian History. Where is ancient India? There was no India. When Vasco da Gama came, there was no Hinduism. There was no Hinduism as a religion. When Vasco da Gama came in 1498, there was nothing called India. He came to a country controlled by Zamarin. We must understand this. The academics have been lying to us so far, both on the notion of Hinduism and on the notion of the country called great nation called India. This lie has to be exposed, and I believe it will get exposed. I have been talking this for at least 15 years. Some people are picking it up, because you cannot say a notion of India before 1498. You cannot show a notion of Hindu before 1498. And why? You must look into the reasons why India as a nation state and why Hinduism as a religion emerged almost on the same period. This is where caste comes in. You know, you find that they help each other. Upper caste and the British help each other. You know, you don't come near us of 8 feet or 12 feet or 20 feet. Different Dalit communities had their shadows not touched the upper caste, the polluting. You don't come near us 8 feet or 12 feet or 20 feet, but you don't fight us because we are from the same religion. This is the advantage of the upper caste, to have Hinduism as a religion. And for the British, you need one centralized, there's 4,000 cultures in this subcontinent. I'm not talking about my figures, I'm talking about the anthropological survey of India today, that there are 4,000 cultures in this country. No British Empire can deal with 4,000 cultures. So you need more centralized cultures so that you can negotiate with some people effectively. So you need a religion. So the emergence of a religion called Hinduism was convenient for both for upper caste as well as Britishers. Emergence of a country called India was convenient for both Britishers and the upper caste. This is a reality. You know, otherwise you must answer, where do you find something called Indian tradition of the ancient times when there are hundreds of countries in this subcontinent? You know, Kabir, if you look at Kabir, he always spoke about, he never spoke about Hindus and Muslims. He talked about Brahmins and Muslims. Look at the writings. But when you see the modern translations, these Brahmins were converted into, translations are converted into Hindus. You know, this is interesting. You know, so in Kerala,